Aiming the spotlight, she pointed at our lie. The first time Iris touched my wrist, she didn't mean anything by it. She was balancing 5 crises and a headset that sounded like a riot in a shoebox, and my dimmer rack had just thrown a tantrum. She said, "Hold," into the mic, reached behind me, and slid a fresh DMX cable into place like she was threading a needle through my pulse. The stage blinked back to life. City skyline in blues, a door frame in amber, a bar of white that made the lead look like he believed his own apologies. Iris squeezed once, a grateful percussion, and moved on to the next fire. I design light the way some people design alibis. If I do my job right, you never notice the trick, only how true the moment feels. The Lyric had hired me to make their new play look expensive enough to excuse the donors. The play was about a marriage. The people making it behaved like they were rehearsing theirs. That's theater, truth sold wholesale at retail prices. Iris was the stage manager, which meant she was both the heartbeat and the surgeon. She ran the room with an economy I envied. When she nodded, 12 people made decisions they thought were theirs. She loved the show like it paid her rent. She wore a thin band she never took off. The lead, Bennett, had the jawline of a lie you want to believe and the vocal stamina of a politician. He also had a wife who wrote opinion columns that taught City Hall how to spell ethics. At intermission, he would text her photos of his dressing room mirror with cliches about gratitude, and she would post them with captions about art being democratic. People said Iris and Bennett were a rumor. People say a lot, especially when all the lights are pointed at one face and the rest of us are hiding in the dark. We met for real during a rain tech that had turned the catwalk into a bad metaphor. She handed me a bottle of water and an apology because the producers wanted one more cue. Light the kiss like a confession, but G-rated tasteful. Pretend the actors weren't counting one Mississippi, 2 Mississippi with their mouths. We stood too close to hear each other and somehow still managed. She smelled like graphite and orange peel. Her headset murmured and she murmured back. The board glowed like a complicated conscience. "You know what I love," she said, not looking at me. "When the audience thinks the blackout is theirs, like the room decided to breathe." "Everyone wants credit for the weather," I said. She smiled sideways. "I thought you were just a dimmer whisperer," she said. "Turns out you can do metaphors." The first lie I told her was that I'd stop by notes and then go home. The notes ran long. The director had caught a revelation in a coffee on the way in, which meant we had to discover a new ending. Iris's headset died. She took it off like a relieved animal and set it on the piano. She rubbed the place behind her ear where the foam leaves a ghost line, and when her fingers fell, they took my attention with them. "You're married," I said, because the ring was not a rumor. "To a man who builds libraries out of footnotes," she said evenly. "He's better than I am at sleeping." "And the rumors," I said. "Every rumor is a wish with bad grammar," she said. "Do you want mine or theirs?" "I'll take yours," I said, and we both pretended that sentence was about theater. 2 nights before previews, a donor named Roman took us all to dinner and tried not to count how many of his enemies were in the room. He was the kind of man who made a restaurant behave. He said the show reminded him of something he'd done when he was younger and had fewer people watching. He looked at Iris when he said younger. He looked at me when he said watching. He told a story about a council vote and a zoning change that made the city blush. Bennett laughed like a man rehearsing a laugh. Iris didn't. After midnight back on stage, we ran the kiss a final time. "Softer," the director said. "Less like hunger, more like regret." Iris stood at the edge of the light, arms crossed, eyes narrow, the way people look at a map when they know the road is lying. The cues landed, fade on the bar light, cool the window, find their cheekbones, hide their hopes. Iris called go, and the kiss happened the way it had to. When it released, she took one step back as if the air had teeth. I should have left. I didn't. I helped coil cable we'd uncoil again in 6 hours. She stacked paperwork into a pile of control. When she finally looked up, the theater was a still lake, no chorus of drills, no errant trumpet from the pit. I heard both our hearts like a pre-show hush. "Walk me home," she said, not as a dare, "if you're not tired of carrying things." We didn't kiss on the sidewalk. We didn't talk about anything we couldn't forgive in the morning. We stood under my least favorite streetlight. The color temperature was wrong for skin, and we let our hands find each other for exactly 3 seconds, a rehearsal for a version of our lives we hadn't been hired to play. Then she went inside her building, and I pressed my palm to the cool of the glass where hers had been and told the city to mind its business. Previews opened and the theater turned into a factory that made feelings. The reviews said the lighting gave the actors permission to tell the truth. I took that personally. The column Bennett's wife wrote was generous and sharp. She loved the play. She loved her husband. She loved that the city could afford to look at itself and not look away. People posted photos of the set like it was a lover they weren't ready to name. The night everything tilted began with a voice memo. It was addressed to R, and Iris played it for me in the booth with the gain low, her thumb covering the waveform as if pressure could keep it from escaping. A woman's voice, calm, expensive, described a delivery for the morning to the lyric loading dock. 2 crates, one labeled props, one labeled archive. "Props go to the office," the voice said. "Archive to the producer's car. He'll take it to the gala. And Iris, no receipts." "Roman," I said. "R for remarkable restraint," she said dryly. "The producer owes him favors. The crates are a hide. I can feel it." "What's in archive?" "A folder that makes the gala interesting," she said. "Or a drive that makes 20 people poor. Either way, I don't want our stage to be the bridge." "What do you want me to do?" I asked. "Help me throw light where they aren't looking," she said. "It's what you do with a room. Do it to a night." We planned something that looked like luck. We moved the rehearsal schedule 30 minutes, borrowed a delivery hand cart, mapped a path from dock to props that crossed a sensor Roman's fixer didn't know I could control from the board. We set a cue that had no name in the book, a 3-second flicker in the lobby sconces at exactly 11:07, the signal that their attention was where we needed it to be. Iris found a shirt that said crew in a font that bullied the eye. At 10:58, Roman's car idled under the alley's iron fire escapes. It looked like a metaphor that paid in cash. The crates arrived on a pallet. The dock door rolled up like a tongue. Iris met them with a clipboard. I hit the lobby flicker. The house manager cursed a fuse. Roman's fixer glanced toward the noise. Iris lifted the lid of archive, slid her hand under the top layer of bubble wrap, and palmed a flat black case with a neat magnet closure the size of a paperback novella. She put it into the hollow between chest and clipboard like a practiced thief storing a prayer. I killed the flicker. The fixer checked the crate. The top looked perfect. He waved it through. We put the case into a music folder and the music folder into a viola case that hadn't seen a viola in months. We put the viola case under the tech desk and our heart rate under control. Roman took his seats. The show played. The kiss was elegant. The audience sighed in major chord. The applause sounded like believers. After, in the office lit by a single practical lamp, we opened the case. Inside, a drive and 3 photographs printed on matte paper so expensive it felt illegal. The photos were of Bennett and the column-writing wife, but not recent, not sweet. He had a look on his face like a man already writing his own defense. She had a look like a blade deciding which direction to sharpen. In the corner, a date stamp and a watermark belonging to a private security firm Roman liked to hire when ethics required subtitles. He's going to buy us a scandal, Iris said, to sell his gala. We could burn it, I said. It already burns, she said. I want to choose who gets warm. We didn't choose the tabloids. We chose a small outlet run by a woman who knew how to refuse ransom disguised as story. We sent the 3 photos without the drive and asked her to call us before making a sentence. She did. Iris told her what I couldn't, that the city could survive a hypocrite if we kept the stage honest, and that Roman should never get to claim he fed the poor emotion. He'll come here, I said. He already is, she said, right as the office door knocked once with the knuckles of someone who's never been told to wait. Roman came in like a solution. He smiled at me and then at Iris and then at the room's corners. He said he adored the show. He said it taught him not to be young anymore. He said with awful tenderness, "Iris, you're protecting the wrong love." I stood up because men like him don't ask permission, they take posture. He looked at my hands and found them amusing. "Lighting," he said, as if that explained everything about me. "Roman," Iris said, and it was both a greeting and a diagnosis. "Your car is blocking the alley." "Then move your anger around it," he said, still soft. "Where are my gifts?" Iris reached into the desk drawer and placed the empty case on the table between them. "Your archive is incomplete," she said. He watched her like a man who is truly surprised maybe once a year and understands it when it happens. "Do you love him?" he asked, glancing at me like an afterthought. "Or do you love the part of you that loves men who build light while you build shows?" "I love my job," she said, "this one." He smiled as if she had passed a test he would now rewrite. "Tell your reporter that the drive contains only donor receipts and a letter from Bennett's wife to herself in which she forgives him for being human," he said. "Tell her that in 2 hours she will receive a better story if she holds. Then go back to calling cues. We all have our gifts." He left with his tailored quiet. We sat with the empty case and the way a room feels when it has said too much. "I should quit," Iris said. "You should sleep," I said. "Come with me," she said. And this time it was not about sidewalks or safety or the fiction that we're adults because we restrain our want. It was about a woman whose ring had become a meteorite in another solar system, and a man who draws maps of light for a living choosing to get lost. Her apartment knew where the glasses lived and how the floor remembers bare feet. We kissed like people who had waited their whole lives to be accused of patience. We kept our heat on the right side of what I would admit to a microphone, and on the wrong side of what I'd pretend not to think about later. Her breath in my mouth was a small forgiveness. My hand at her back learned what softness sounds like. We didn't undress past decency. We undid the part of ourselves that had been responsible for everyone else's comfort. That was enough. That was a lot. The morning found us dumb with good decisions. The small outlet called. They had the drive now, delivered anonymously, but it held only receipts and nothing clickable. They would run a piece about the attempt instead, the shape of the lever, not the mess under it. Roman threw a gala where he talked about second chances. Bennett smiled like a man whose marriage had survived without noticing him. His wife's column that week was about municipal amnesia. She didn't name names and burned a forest anyway. We kept doing the show. The light hit the bar like an apology. The kiss stayed elegant. People cried and paid and wrote us emails about how they hadn't cheated on anyone lately but felt like they had. Theater is cheap salvation that costs too much. We bought and sold and pretended to be monks. A week later, Bennett didn't come to places on time. His wife did not sit in the orchestra. A bouquet arrived for Iris with a card that said, simply, "Thank you for your professionalism." It was signed by someone whose name the city recognizes and never learns to love. We threw the flowers out for the health of the cats. On closing night, the lights hit the bow just right, and I let them linger one beat longer, an indulgence only the booth would notice. Ira stood at her console, headset on, calling a show she had saved from becoming someone else's alibi. When the curtain fell, the donors clapped like spouses at an anniversary they earned, not bought. Backstage, hugs had the sheen of goodbye. The crew took selfies in bad light. Iris and I stood where the green bulbs make everyone look like sea glass and took nothing. After all this, she said, what are we? Honest, I said. And tomorrow, she asked. The afternoon depends on how brave we feel in the morning, I said. She slid her hand into mine and squeezed once, a grateful percussion, and then let go, because the world was waiting to be convinced again and someone had to run it on time. We left by different doors. Outside, the city practiced pretending it was gentle. I walked home, and the streetlight that hated skin looked almost kind. I pressed my palm to the glass where hers wasn't and told the night to mind its business. I still draw light that lets people lie better. She still builds rooms where everyone tells the truth by accident. We still meet where windows fog on purpose, and sometimes we don't talk at all. Sometimes we stand and breathe and remember that the spotlight she pointed at our lie made it honest long enough for us to choose it or put it down. We're not saints. We're not villains. We're the people who hold and say, go, and make the story look like it was always meant to happen, even when it almost was. And when a theater goes dark now, I leave one practical lamp on for an extra minute. Not for safety, for memory. For the night she touched my wrist and made the sky behave, and for every cue that followed where we didn't take more than we needed and still got what we wanted, which was simple. To be the ones who decide where the light goes, and for once, to step into it without lying.